Alright, this is the first drop we braided in. You can see we just braided right over it. You can't even tell it's there. We had 16 drops, and now we're going to start our next one. So what you did, take our 2 loops, took our drop. Again, we melted it too, and basically you do is just melt the end, put it on there and squish it down with your finger, get it tight. So we're just going to do the same process over again. So you're going to have your 3 again. Tan over, back behind, and through. Okay, so you're going to do this the whole same thing over again. This will be your second drop. And as you're braiding this one, you're going to start getting towards the center of what will be your lanyard. So we're going to do 14 braids for this one to get to the next drop. Again, make sure you get these super tight. Make sure this is tight when you pull it straight. So make sure again you keep your drops away from the area you're braiding. Tan middle over the 3, loop over the tan, back behind. Again, you just want to make sure you get these. Can't emphasize enough how tight you need to pull on these. If it takes extra time, just really get a good hold of it. And even if you loop it over and just get it as tight as you can, because if you got like the calls I run zinc calls, and I've probably got close to $600 or $700 worth of calls on there. And it's a bad day if you have one of your drops come out and you lose a call in the middle of the field, or it just saves a lot of headache if you do that. So
the first lanyard I made, one of the drops came out once I got it all the way done. So it's like 4 hours wasted. So you're gonna want to pull them tight.
Yeah, because once you get these drops put in, you can't just slide them back in. So that's just a crucial thing. So basically, you don't want to ruin your lanyard just because you didn't get those tight enough. So, all right, at this point, this is what your lanyard should look like. You got your first 25 to your first drop, 16 to your second drop, and we just finished our 14 here to start our next drop. So what you're gonna do is basically you're pushing another drop in, you're gonna braid over it, and you're gonna do 16 more to get to your next drop before you start the next one.
Okay.
All right, again, this is gonna be our third drop. You're going to start going back up your lanyard. Now you're over half done. So again, it's your third drop, melt it onto your 2 loops. And you're just going to braid over. Keep the same pattern. Tan over your 3 underneath. Back through. You're going to need to make sure every time you put a drop in, make sure this is tight and that you pull your knots tight every time. And like you see here, we've kept all 3 of our drops out of the way. It's easier if you just lay them over the top. So again, tan over the 3. Underneath, back through. And then from this drop here, you're going to do 16 loops. And then you'll go to your last and 4th drop on this one.
Okay.
Alright, here we got the last drop we're going to put braid on here. Again, we just melt it again. 3-foot drop. All you're going to do is just do the same braid. Tan over, back behind. Now for this one's gonna be a little bit different. The first set of braids we did was 25. On this we're gonna do 18. And we'll show you the next step on how to complete your lanyard without having any bunches in it and stuff. But for right now, same thing. Repeated, this will be your 4th one. Make sure you get them extra tight, make sure it stays in the middle. And tan over, back behind, and through. And do 18 of these. Alright, we just got our 18. We're on the 4th drop. Now to finish your lanyard, what you're going to do, your 2 strands you've been braiding on the whole time, you're going to take what you first started with, that loop we made. What you're going to do is, keeping these strands straight, you're going to feed these 2 through. And this is the time you hope you made your loop big enough. Okay. Once you get these through, just kind of work this end down. And before, with our first section, we had 25, so we're going to make that pretty close to that. So if you just kind of look on here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is so long. Just kind of make it to about, it's pretty close there. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your 2 excess that you pulled through that and loop it back over that same amount. So just like that there. Get that. And if you're not perfectly at 25, it's not a big deal, because what we're going to do is you put a secondary loop over all this to make it a little comfier. That will show. And this part's a little bit trickier too. So what you want to do, just take these and start your loop. Pull that through. And if you'll see here, I still have a lot of excess string that I just pulled through. You can use that for your, if you're going to put double drops on, or you can use that to braid over your drops, what I do with my lanyards. Some of these is you want to get them right to the very end and get something like that. And you need to make sure these above anything need to be crazy tight, because if you don't do these tight and your lanyard comes apart, you're going to be really pissed. And it's not the worst thing in the world, because this is something you can fix. It's not like when you lose a drop, but it's better just not to have that problem. So again, just braid over this. And you're going to want to keep braiding. And you're going to actually braid over your loop. There's going to be a little bit of a bulge there, but it'll look a lot better once you finish. Alright, when you get to this point, the 2 loops you made here, you're going to braid over those. It's going to look a lot cleaner. So you want to make sure you keep these somewhat straight. It's just the same weave you're making the whole way. Again, try to keep this as tight as you can, just so it's straight. And the part you really want to make sure you get is right there. That's the weakest spot right now. And basically, that's how your lanyard is going to look right there. Okay, now here you have your 2 leads. These are your 2 25-footers. And all you're going to do is take your scissors and just cut those as close as you can. Try to get good clean cuts. And then what you're going to do, you're going to take your lighter and you're going to melt these. And when you melt them, you make sure you melt it down into your strands. because if not, your lanyard's going to start coming apart. Alright, this is how your lanyard should look. Basically what we did, we just cut those and you just burn them and push them back in there. Alright, next we're going to talk about is how to go from something like this to something like this. This is my personal lanyard, and what I did here is I put another row of braids over the part we just did. It makes it a little bit heavier, it's a little bit stronger, it keeps us together, and you put it on your neck, it makes it a lot comfier. We're also going to talk about each of my calls have 2 drops. You see these 2? One is the part that you braided in, and we're going to run another drop. Basically, you're going to loop onto here and loop to your call. And I also braid my drops. That's something you don't have to do. I just kind of thought it looked a little cooler, it looks a little cleaner, and you don't have loose strands everywhere. So we'll show you how to do that next.